this year, she has served as our K-4 virtual school administrator. And I know many of you out there watching have probably met him. We're most fortunate to have her in this role, and we look forward to watching our elementary virtual program evolve and grow under Kim's leadership. At this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to her.
Good evening. I am so glad you are joining us tonight. I'm thrilled that I have this opportunity to discuss with you our virtual school. I know I have spoken with many of you on the phone. I have replied in emails, and we have just built this little relationship where we are able to talk back and forth, and I've got to really cherish the opportunities that your students have had with you, and so it's a joy to be with you tonight. Okay, I'm going to begin, and I'm going to jump right into our presentation because, again, like Mrs. Gibson said, I have 15 minutes, so I want to go over our rubric from the letter first. This rubric was designed for you as a family to sit down together and determine if your child will be most successful as a virtual student. When you go through this rubric, I want you to know, first of all, the link to the rubric is noted on the slideshow, and you have a QR code. You can pull out your camera on your phone to access that QR code if that will help you so that you can see the rubric. It was hyperlinked in your letter as well. So on this rubric, there are two sections: the general virtual learning considerations and the academic and social emotional well-being. For the general virtual learning considerations, this is where you can determine if your child is a self-starter, is your child organized, responsible, and does your child have the ability to persevere. We want you to focus on wondering if your child has the learning style that will be most compatible for a digital learning mode. Additionally, we want you to consider if you have internet access that will work well for live instruction Monday through Friday during the morning. If you have a quiet space for your child to focus on the work that is conducive for learning. And if your child is in kindergarten and first grade, it's very important that you will be available while your child is learning. We want to most definitely foster independence within our children. And if you have a student going into kindergarten, you will be amazed at what your child will be able to do after just 6 weeks of instruction. So that will be taken care of quickly. But we want to make sure that you're available as needed while we start to learn how to process virtual school for all of our new students. And for all of our students who have been joining us in virtual school, I am so excited that they have learned so much about technology. And for some of you parents, they might be teaching you a lesson or two as well. Additionally, we want you to know some expectations regarding testing. Testing must occur on campus. So we need to know that you will be able to bring your child on campus as needed with for other requirements as well, and that could be quarterly for our quarterly assessments. Additionally, we need you to know that if your child is not successful in a virtual learning environment, we will want to have a conversation with you about the fact that we do believe your child would be best served in blended learning. So we want you to consider all of these considerations and just really think about, is your child going to be successful? And we do not expect you to turn this into us. This is just for you and your family to make those considerations. The second page of the rubric is for academic and social emotional well-being. And this is where you can really analyze, does your child perform on grade level or above grade level on tasks? I want you to think about their grades on their report card. How many 2s and 3s do you see? Or does your child have a 1 or more than one, more than just one 1? So with that consideration, I want you to think, how successful will your child be? And know that we are going to work hard to help our students continue to learn. We are going to provide intervention and meet with your child as often as needed to help your child be successful. But if your child has struggled, we really want you to consider what environment will best serve your child. Additionally, we want to make sure our children who are virtual learners are staying engaged and that they're staying connected. So we want to make sure your child has multiple opportunities to connect even outside of virtual school. That's going to be very important. In addition to nutrition, does your child have adequate nutrition or food available? And we will continue to provide the services that we have this year. So I think that's really good. If your child receives any type of therapy, all of those therapies will be virtual for our virtual students. So we want you to be aware of that and know that occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, we will be able to continue to provide those virtually, but that will be the means for those therapies. Okay, Mrs. Wise, do I have any questions so far that I need to address? I think I'm good. She's going to go pop on and just let me know. Mrs. Wise is on.
You're good.
Okay, and she says we're good. How about this? If you love virtual school, go ahead and just type in YAY and say yay in the chat. Drop it in the chat. Okay, we're going to go on to our next slide. Okay, our program requirements. Our program requirements are very important to us. So I'm not going to go through every single one, but I'm going to go through the main ones we really want to make sure you know. For all live instruction, we want the camera to be on. We want to see our students. We want to interact with our students, and we want to have an idea. Well, we want to know how they're doing and if they're understanding. We all often have our students show us a hand symbol to know if the student is understanding the content, but being able to engage with your child is most important to us as teachers, as we make sure they're comprehending and as we're monitoring that instruction. So we want the camera to be on. And again, for our K and our kindergarten and first grade parents, we want to make sure you are available as needed while we foster that independence. Secondly, we want to make sure your child has established a strong record of attendance and maintains that strong record of attendance. Being at school is very important in order to make sure all of the content is learned. I love our curriculum. In Bentonville schools, we teach the science of reading and cognitively guided math. We consistently incorporate vocabulary and content into our daily instruction. So I just believe every single day is important and we don't want to miss a moment. So attendance will be very important in our virtual school. Next, your child will need to reside within Bentonville schools and within our boundaries. And that means your child will need to reside within our school zone 4 nights a week. So this will be a new requirement, and this one is very important as we want to make sure we set up a framework that will help your child be most successful. Okay. And that is actually per our policy, our district policy. So we just must make sure, we must make sure our students are always residing within Bentonville school boundaries. Next, we want to make sure that your child has an established record of completing work and turning in assignments. If your child has been successful with making sure he or she is completing his work and turning in his assignments, that is great, and that will help us really make sure your child will be successful. But at the same time, we require all of our children to maintain that record and to turn in their assignments. And if they are not turning in assignments, that will be a discussion that we will have to help make sure the needs of the family are being met and the academic needs of your child. Before our admission process is complete, parents and students will sign a contract. Our K through 4 parents will be expected to sign the contract, and our students in 2nd grade through 4th grade will sign it as well. This contract will outline all of the program requirements and help maintain our expectations. So this will be the last step in the admission process, but we want to make sure you're aware of it and you're able to view that contract and use the contract to have a conversation with your child, and especially the student portion of the contract. Okay, let's talk about our virtual school. We are prepared to have virtual school for 738 students. That means each grade level will have 6 sections in order to help make sure we are meeting the needs of our district. But there could be a possibility that we have more than the amount of slots available that are for students who are enrolling into our virtual school. So if that were to occur, we would have a lottery. So I want you to be aware that if in kindergarten we have more than 120 students enroll and apply for virtual school, we will have to have a lottery to determine which students are able to fill those 120 slots. So this is very important. When you receive your application for enrollment, we want you to fill that out, but that does not mean your child is automatically in virtual school, because we will need to analyze our numbers and go through our screeners, and then you will be notified if your child has made it into virtual school on April 15th. Okay, Mrs. Wise, do I have any questions? I'm sure you probably know if I do, and while I'm waiting on her to respond, if go ahead and put in the chat a K, 1, 2, 3, or 4 for which grade level your child will be in next year. Mrs. Wise?
Is the lottery done by family? She has 2 students and would hope not.
Absolutely. We will definitely take siblings into consideration when going through the lottery. That we know that will help your family function well with virtual school. So we definitely will take into consideration siblings. That was a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Thank you.
And,
okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Will selecting virtual school next school year affect the placement in our zoned school for the following year?
Okay, that is a great question, and I might have to get back there. I believe I will need to get back to you on that one, because I can understand how if you are currently at Willowbrook and you decide to go virtual, and then should you have a moment the next year when you decide to go back to the blended learning classroom, you might want to know if you have your spot. Let me tell you this. Enrolling in virtual school is going to be a very strong, we want you to be committed, because we are committed to making virtual school a success. So we want you to be in virtual school and join our program all the way through 4th grade, and know that when you enroll in virtual school, we really do hope that you join us for an entire school year. There will be very few extenuating circumstances when a student might not be able to do that, but we do hope that in making this commitment, you are making a commitment to join us for an exciting year of learning for one entire school year. Okay, I want to go through our schedule, because I'm really excited about the schedule we have created based on our feedback from our parents and teachers, because we want to make a schedule that will help our students be academically successful and yet still meet their social emotional learning needs. So in the morning, your child will have a live math block and live math small groups. Then they will have a live literacy block and live literacy small groups. During the live math and literacy block, that's a time for our teachers to determine how much time is needed for each subject. They have the ability to be flexible with scheduling that time frame. So there might be times when your child might be live most of the time, but know that reasonable breaks will be provided throughout that live block, because we do want to do what's developmentally appropriate for our students. During the live small groups, those students are scheduled usually for 15 to 20 minutes. So your child will not be expected to be live that entire block of time, but know that during that time, your child may complete assignments that were just discussed and taught during the live math block, and your child can complete Dreambox and Lexia minutes as well. We do want to encourage our families to immediately have their students go in and complete the assignment after the lesson was taught. One thing that we've learned this year is when students wait to do their assignments, they might forget what exactly was taught. So we do hope our students will turn around, complete those assignments, and get those turned in. Let me tell you about something super exciting. During the afternoons, we have provided time for students' needs to be met through small groups, additional time with the teacher, maybe just one-to-one feedback. But we also have our honeycomb clubs, which will be a great time for students to think about what they enjoy and to work with a teacher to develop content into that group, and then have time for other students can join and they can make connections about something, a shared interest. Okay, so let me show you something new that was not exactly in the letter, but I think you will like this. So if you are able to use your camera, I will go ahead and share my screen, or access this link, you will see a parent copy of the student schedule that has descriptors for each time frame. So as you can see, there is a descriptor for each time frame throughout the schedule to describe how that time will be used and what opportunities are available for your child. So I really do hope that helps you as you start to look at that schedule, that student schedule. Okay, I know there must be questions about this schedule. So Mrs. Wise, let me know what questions we have. And while I'm waiting on her, let me just tell you, go ahead and drop in the chat. Let me know what schools you are from. So if you're from Willowbrook, type in Willowbrook, Centerton, Gamble, Cooper. Go ahead and note that school, and I will wait to hear what Mrs. Wise has to say about questions about our schedule. I know you must have some.
They have a question regarding on-site testing. If the virus is still rampant next year, will online testing be allowed like this year?
That's a great question. With our ACT Aspire state testing, the governor has said that our parents will need to bring their students in for learning. So that will anything the governor says is a requirement for sure. So that will be a requirement. But as for our MAP assessments, we at this time, we want all of our students here on campus for testing. However, we will abide by all of our guidelines promoted by our governor and established by the CDC. So we definitely will take into consideration health concerns, and if I need to give you a better answer, I will make sure I document that in the document that we email to parents regarding all of the questions and answers asked tonight. Okay, Melissa, any more right there?
That'll be good.
Okay. All right. Well, I want you to know that we are very excited about our honeycomb clubs, because this was a dream when we really started analyzing at first what we wanted our virtual school to look like. So we knew we wanted to grow our program from good to great. We wanted to establish objectives and expectations and routines for all of our students to be successful. But phase 2 of our program is to really create these honeycomb clubs, which are self-created clubs by our students that promote their interests while they're learning and help them be able to interact. So that was phase 2, and we are just approaching that phase, which is super exciting. Phase 3, we are going to learn how to use our digital resources to give back to our community. And that is a step that I cannot wait to collaborate with our community members and our businesses throughout Bentonville schools. And then phase 4, this is when, and I apologize if you can't see that, but I will totally tell you what this is in time. Once the pandemic is gone, we really do look forward to hosting field trips for our students and giving them many opportunities to grow together. Okay. I'm going to continue to answer questions in just a moment when I turn off this presentation, but I want you to know that I will have another presentation on February 25th from 5:30 to 6 for all of our students who are going to be in kindergarten through 4th grade next year. And for families who were not able to join us tonight. Okay, if you have any questions, you are always welcome to email me as well, but I do hope tonight that you will go ahead and document your questions in the chat or in the Google form. What I love about the Google form is this: if you have a question that you don't feel comfortable asking in front of everybody, go ahead and put that in the Google form, because I will be using that to answer questions. At the secondary level, you may email Josh Best. He might already be in our chat. I'm not sure. He was finishing up his presentation, and he will be able to answer your questions currently for 5th grade through 12th grade. And please follow us on our Instagram page to learn more about what our students are doing as we celebrate their success. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And at this time, I will have Mrs. Wise go ahead and continue to ask me questions that you are noting in the chat. And if I need to unmute someone, I think we can figure that out. Okay, I'm going to exit this screen. And then I hope you are able to see me. Can you see me okay? Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, Mrs. Wise.
There are several questions in the chat in regards to why there is a limit on enrollment in virtual schools.
Okay, this is a fantastic question. So, in a sense, March, it might be too early for parents, but it's kind of too late for our district, because we have to staff our virtual school. And that means we have to take teachers away from where they currently are and put them in a different position so that we can make sure we are meeting the needs of everyone who does choose to enroll between March 1st and March 10th. So we need to make sure we have all of our staffing needs met, which is going to be so important. And in order to meet those staffing needs, we had to have a number. So as we've made every decision since June of last year regarding our virtual school, we really do have to look at our enrollment numbers, and that drives all of the decisions. So every meeting we're in, we know we can't make a decision until we have a number. So we had to cap that number in order to really think about how we can best meet these needs. So staffing is really the main reason. And if I get another answer that best supports that question, I will definitely make sure I communicate that with you. Will there be ties with their like
Willowbrook, will that brick and mortar school be broken if they are enrolled in virtual school?
So will there be a Willowbrook school, virtual school?
I think it's, can they return to Willowbrook?
Right, that same question I was asked earlier. Yes, and we will continue to, okay, this was similar to the question asked earlier. Will the child a year later be able to return back to the same school and the child was zoned for? And I know in many schools like Willowbrook, we have a waiting list. So that's a very good, valid question, and I will definitely make sure I follow up with that question.
Will this be its own separate school, or will the virtual students still be part of their zoned like this year? So if I am zoned for Sugar Creek, but my child is virtual, is she considered a Sugar Creek Patriot or part of the virtual school only?
Okay, we are going to have one virtual school, our elementary virtual school, and for that school year that your child is committed to, your child will be enrolled in our elementary virtual school, and your child will not be tied to the existing school for which that child is zoned.
Okay. Hold on, my computer's telling me something else.
Well, it is, it's 5:52, so we have 8 minutes left.
Okay, so small groups are required for meetings that their children are attending now. However, they have had some issues all year where they will attend the meeting late, 5 to 10 minutes, and the meeting will be over. They're just wondering how that will be controlled next year.
Okay, we definitely want our students to log in at their assigned time. And this is part of being a virtual student who is capable of doing virtual school well. So I know many families will set timers to make sure their children are online at the correct time, but we do want our students to make sure they are online on time, because small group time is where we get to make sure we're focusing on your child's exact needs. There's no better time to meet your child's needs than that small group time, because that's where we're using our data to drive our instruction for your child and that small group that your child is in. So small group time is very important. Let me tell you this as well. In the morning, when your child has the live math block and the live small group, for math, that is counted as half-day attendance. When your child attends literacy live group instruction and literacy small group, that is counted as half-day attendance. In order to earn a full day attendance, your child must attend all live sessions that morning for literacy and math and for small groups. And that is how your child will earn that full attendance. But that was a really good question. And hey, let me go ahead and tell you this while I'm thinking about it, because I don't want to lose it. Okay, so assignments will be due in 24 hours, not 48 hours like this year. So all assignments will be due at 8 o'clock a.m. the next school day. And that will allow parents who work to be able to help their child more at night, should that be needed. But let me tell you this, we want our students to complete those assignments as soon as those lessons are over. So our teachers are going to greatly encourage our students to get those assignments completed before the end of the school day. And that will allow the teacher to answer questions during the day that your child might have. That is really important. So in order to make sure we are best meeting your child's needs, we do want them to finish those assignments before the end of the school day. But again, they're due by 8 o'clock a.m. the next morning.
Ms. Green,
yes.
Can you elaborate more on the lottery system? How will that work? What will it look like?
Okay, so in first grade, we will be able to accept 150 students because we will have 6 sections of first grade. So if we have 178 students enroll in first grade for virtual school, we will put all of those names into a lottery and pull the 150 names for virtual school. And it's electronic.
Okay. There's a lot of questions considering special ed. I know you talked about that at the very beginning. Could you retouch base with that?
Absolutely. So if you have a student who is in special ed, your student might not be able to meet the standards of on grade level at this time. But what is important to us is the commitment level. We want to know that you and your family are committed to virtual school, and you are committed to making sure your child is on online, to receive instruction, to be in all those small groups and receive all of the virtual therapy. So if we will want to know that you are committed. So we will definitely have discussions if needed, but for our students who have special needs, we are prepared to meet those special needs virtually and to help those students grow and learn. And we just need to know that our commitment from all parents, really from all parents, will be there for us. And so commitment level and communication, I believe, are the two main, for me personally. Do I have your commitment, and do I have your ability to, can we communicate? Are you going to communicate with me when you have questions, and can I reach you when I need to reach you regarding other questions to make sure your child is successful?
Here's one question. The pandemic can change in the next 6 months. Would you expand the virtual school in the summer for people who do not feel safe sending their children to blended in the fall?
We have had very important conversations about this exact topic, and I know that we will make adjustments as needed based on what is going on with this pandemic, and we are going to make those adjustments as needed. So when and if anything like that were to occur, we would talk with our cabinet and our executive members to determine steps that need to be taken, because we know with COVID that we can't just always say it has to be this way. Like, we have to be flexible and we have to do what's best for our students. So should circumstances not become, should they get worse, then we definitely will revisit this topic as a committee and determine next steps. It's a great question. We have 3 minutes left. And let me think, is there anything else I want to make sure I tell you while I'm waiting? Okay, so you will get the application March 1st through March 10th, and then we will need you to complete that. Please remember, we will let you know the acceptance if your child has been accepted on April 15th, but that last final step is signing that contract. Okay, Mrs. Wise, any more?
Mm-hmm. Yes, one important one, I think. What if they sign up for virtual school and then the pandemic sort of lightens up and they decide they want to send their kid to blended? How will that look?
Okay, we really do want to make sure our virtual school is set up to help our students to be successful, and that we have a great commitment from our parents. So the goal is, if you're enrolling in virtual school, you will stay committed with us for 1 school year. And should there be an extenuating circumstance, then in that case, you would need to contact our executive director of student services to make that request.
Okay. I think the others are all meshed in with what we've been asked, and you probably can answer them.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Well, I want you to know that we will continue to make sure we go through these questions. We will make sure we provide answers, and then all of your emails have been collected, so we'll be able to email you and provide those responses to you so you can see those. All right, it has been my pleasure to have this opportunity this entire school year. Again, like when I began this presentation tonight, I told you that I have enjoyed getting to know you. I've enjoyed the phone conversations, the emails, getting to see your students be successful. And I will continue to enjoy that and enjoy getting to know you and help celebrating your students' success. So thank you for this honor, and I really look forward to making virtual school a grand success in 2021-22. Thank you all for being here tonight. Mrs. Gibson, is there anything else? Okay. All right. Have a wonderful night, and thank you so much for joining us.